Hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing well in spite of everything. The new outbreak of the coronavirus have been screwing up my plans a little bit. I was planning to go to Germany to record the episodes on Nietzsche in the middle of January, but here we are. But I got something else for you guys. When I started this YouTube channel about a year ago, I had a friend of mine telling me that he really enjoyed the videos, but he couldn't quite keep up with the philosophical language. So I thought it would be a good idea to make a couple of episodes with the basics of philosophy. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So what is philosophy to begin with? Well, answering that question is actually much tougher than it seems.
Well, as you can see, here's a couple of books that tried to answer just that question. Not so simple, is it?
So as you may understand, asking what philosophy itself is a really hard question to answer. But I'll give you a couple of key subjects that have been discussed throughout the ages of philosophy.
A common division of philosophy is into three subcategories: ontology or metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. Ontology is the study of the world, what reality itself is made up of. Ontos is Greek for being or that which is. Epistemology is the study of knowledge itself. Episteme simply means knowledge. So what can we have knowledge about? This branch is very often there to support the sciences and distinguishing bad science from good. And then you have ethics, and it is mostly concerned with human action. What is considered a good or a bad action, and why? The Greek word ethos, where ethics comes from, means character or moral nature.
If one is serious about philosophy, one cannot just focus on one of these subjects, because they overlap and intersect. But it will help us move forward. And I thought we should begin with ontology, or metaphysics, for in a way it is the whole basis on which the whole subject of philosophy stands upon. You will understand what I mean by that later. We human beings are confined to our very narrow senses in understanding the world. And if you are to believe Charles Darwin, they are solely designed in order for us to survive and procreate.
We have eyes in order for us to see the lion before it attacks us, or to see the gazelle in order to hit it with an arrow for food. Or maybe, ooh, hot damn, that's a good-looking lady. I want to have coitus with her so I can spread my strong genes to continue the species. Excuse me. I don't know where that came from. Well, and also our hearing is designed in the same way to warn us of predators.
And our nose is designed to warn us of potential diseases in what we eat. Except if it's Swedish surströmming. Just kidding. I smelled it once. I just said, no freaking way I'm putting that in my mouth. And of course, our taste is just the same.
And our sense of touch helps to orient ourselves in the world, and it also enables us to easily grasp things such as tools and foods.
Many scientists would claim that there are way more senses than just these basic 5, but we'll keep it simple here. Because the main point is that even though we have these 5 senses, they don't take in the world as it is. They're only designed for us to survive.
For there can still be things out there in the world that are out of reach from our senses. Take gamma radiation, for example. Nuclear radiation is a threat to us that is new. We don't feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it, or see it. But if we have a Geiger-Müller counter, we know for a fact that it is there, and nuclear radiation can be lethal.
Hypothetically, if the world would end in a nuclear war, animals that survives the war might develop, after a couple of million years of evolution, a sense to detect nuclear decay in order for them to survive. So by the same token as nuclear radiation, we can theorize that there might be things out there that we just don't perceive with our senses. But we would know that it's not dangerous for us, because if it was, we would have developed a sense to detect it.
And that is the whole point of metaphysics. It is trying to move beyond our basic senses to figure out the very structure of being itself.
To elaborate a little bit, let's go through some classical metaphysical ideas. For instance, the pre-Socratic philosopher Thales believed that the whole world consisted of different quantities of water. In a way, everything comes from water. If scientists nowadays look for signs of life out on another planet, the first thing they look for is water. So in a way he was correct, but not really. Also, this type of metaphysical thinking that everything consists of one element is also called monism. Another famous metaphysical idea is Plato's world of forms. And he actually created it in order to solve another philosophical problem, namely the problem of universals.
What is a universal, you might ask? Take a triangle, for example. It can have many different properties. It can be big, it can be small, it can be purple or blue, etc., etc. You know what I mean? But there is something that is universal for all triangles that exists. Some universal properties that without it, it's not a triangle anymore. If you take away one of these sides, for example, now it's not a triangle anymore. This is also called essentialism. Having 3 sides is an essential element of a triangle.
So Plato theorized that there has to be an eternal, unchanging world of forms where everything exists in their perfect essential form, and that this world is only a flawed copy of it. We're only seeing the shadows of the perfect world of forms. Another interesting metaphysical idea is that of Bishop Berkeley. During his time, most people believed that humans consisted of 2 different matters.
Correction, I meant 2 different types of substances. Continue.
Matter and mind, or consciousness. But Bishop Berkeley didn't really like this idea at all. He thought that it was stupid and inconsistent.
So Berkeley theorized that there only was one kind of substance in the universe, and to Berkeley, mind, or consciousness, is the only thing that exists. What Bishop Berkeley means is that physical things, such as trees, chairs, or water, are only illusions created by God. We humans are simply consciousnesses dwelling in the mind of God. Everything in the world is one thing: God.
So why is this talk about metaphysics important at all? I mean, in a way, it is worthless. What does it matter if the world consists of just water, or if we live in the mind of God? It doesn't really have any practical implications. So what is the point? It is, in a way, worthless. But in one way, it is one of the most important things there is. Let me elaborate.
For it is not the metaphysical theory in itself that is important, but what is extracted out of it. For instance, when we discussed freedom of will in the 3rd episode on Kierkegaard, Søren was a Christian and had a Christian metaphysical worldview. And according to the Christian ontology, humans are created in the image of God and with the ability to disobey God, i.e., a metaphysical free will. So the idea of free will itself is bound to the idea of the Christian metaphysical structure. And our legal system in the West is based on the same idea of the individual and free will. And that is why metaphysics becomes so important.
That's it for today, everyone. Now you know what metaphysics is. In the next episode, we will be discussing epistemology. Also, if you enjoyed the music that I had in this episode, please consider subscribing to my Sound and Sophia Records channel here on YouTube. You'll find the links down below. And by the way, if you want to see what happens behind the scenes of Sound and Sophia, you can follow me on Instagram @Sound and Sophia. I hope you all have a good one. I'll see you.